Yeah. Testing. I really should have done like an audio test before I started this. Anyway,
Oh,
anime
audio
reflux.
test.
Hey, woo, we're
Hello.
here.
We're
Yay,
here.
Hey, welcome.
yay. Um, been a while since we've recorded one of these. And this one is I want to call it Sengoku Basara. It's not. It's a long way up in the text chat. Fuck.
Legend of Basara.
Legend of Basara. Yeah. Yeah. Um. Okay. So this was mostly fine. I think
Yeah,
that's a
yeah, it
way to
wasn't bad.
describe it. Yeah.
It set the tone really nicely in a very succinct fashion.
It,
I mean, it took a whole episode, but like, that's fine.
yeah.
Episode was usually set up anyway.
I mean, succinct is a word for it, but I would also argue there isn't a lot of setup for them to do. Like, this is really friggin' thin.
Yeah.
The apocalypse happened. We now live in a desert. We are a tribal people now who are somehow sexist again. More so.
Yeah, and there is a prophecy that this one dude. Well, there is a prophecy that a child will be the prophesized hero to do some good things that are very vaguely defined.
The generic savior.
Yeah. Doesn't really establish what they'll be. Like, so far, it doesn't seem like the Savior is very good at saving things based on how many people die. But, sure. So that happens, and it turns out it's twins. And only one of them can be the Savior, and they decide it's the boy out of the boy and girl because sexism. Okay. I assume that's the reason. They literally don't give any other reason for why it has to be the dude.
They really don't. Yeah, they just arbitrarily declare the male twin to be the savior.
Yeah. Like there's no distinguishing mark or anything like that, with usual prophecy mumbo jumbo and stuff like that. Fated, destined one and all that crap that is terrible plot device stuff that I fucking hate, but we'll fucking move past it because it's fine. That's what the show is. So the kids grow up a bit and they're like 10, and the girl is like going out into the desert and hanging out with a friend who is also a little kid. Obviously, that was a weird thing to say, weird thing to specify. And this friend of hers is super like legit excited about the savior and how great he is for some reason. Like you say, it's a very succinct setup, but they don't really establish why the brother was supposedly so great. They just kind of say he was. Okay.
I mean, it might all be bullshit, and the village elder or whatever is just like made it up to inspire hope.
That's kind of
Because
what I assumed. I assumed it was just BS so they didn't give up.
Yeah. So there are mentor characters here, and they don't do much for now. So they go back to the village. It turns out it's the girl's and thus the boy's birthday, and it's a coming of age ceremony that they're supposed to be doing for both of them, but they only do the boys because he is the super special savior of everyone. And the mum outright says, "Hey, we'll celebrate your birthday tomorrow when it's not your birthday." Like,
it's celebrated later. I don't think she says tomorrow, but it's the same. Yeah.
So the boy gets given a super special sword that is the sword of the savior in some fashion. Like they, okay, and
If you
she
just
just a
tries.
slap the
really
word if you just slap the word savior on anything, then sure,
yeah.
it's sort of the savior.
Yeah,
There's no
but
magic power. She saw it being made. It's just a regular sword.
yeah,
So
pretty much. And she goes to touch it, and she gets smacked for it right across the face.
by a guy who looks vaguely sorry afterward, I think, but not really.
I think it's her dad. Like
Oh,
it's not really well established who her parents are aside from the mum who doesn't really get how birthdays work. But yeah, like they don't explicitly establish who the dad is, so I think that's supposed to be the dad.
ah,
He's like, "No, that's for dude whose name I forget. It might
to
be
not.
Basara. It might actually be
Ah,
Basara." Because that's who she pretends to be in If the
Tatara.
Legend. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's Tatara and Sarasa.
Right, I forgot that was weird that neither of the characters that are supposed to be the prophesied savior are actually Basara in the show called Legend of Basara. But alright.
The
Um,
closest one is Sarasa.
yeah.
So I'm guessing that she's gonna change her name to Basara and be a hero or something. I don't know.
probably.
I mean, it's close because, like, yeah, Basara Sa. It's kind of there almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Um. So yeah, and then after getting smacked in the face for trying to touch a sword, she runs away crying because she's 10 or 12 or something.
A child.
Yeah. And she runs out into the desert and happens to run across a army of people in red that are not particularly well established. Besides, they are an army of people in red, and they have a red noble dude, king maybe, I forget.
Yeah, the Red King. It's very poorly defined what that means and why they just wander the desert randomly killing people.
I think the
Seemingly,
implication was it wasn't
yeah.
random. They were explicitly going to the village to kill the savior because apparently people outside of this particular village that has a particular village savior know about the village savior for this village that no one cares about. So
It would have been nice to see like an overview of the map and
yeah,
kind of get a sense of like, oh, this is just a rough collection of villages in like a 20-mile radius or whatever. Set some context.
so shenanigans happen, and she gets in the way of the Red King dude, and uh, one of the mentor figures shows up and is like, "Hey, no, please don't. It's. I'm sorry. Please, no, don't." And Red King dude is like, "No, kill him." And then Blue Noble guy shows up and is like, "Hey, don't do that." And Red King guy is like, "Yeah, okay," and he doesn't do that.
But he cuts out his eye just randomly.
Yeah, cuts out Blue Noble guy's eye, and Blue Noble
Who
guy
does
just
not
kind
react in
of
the slightest, which is
kind of
kind of
takes
badass.
it. Yeah. All right. That is quite possibly the most interesting part of this show in its entirety. Was just that dude who is on screen for about 20 seconds. So they go home, and it turns out, yeah, Red King guy was leading troops there to kill the savior, and girl's friend who was all hyped up about how great the savior was, he pretends to be the savior, so they kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is like, wow, it is so great that he got to die for the savior.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
What a great honor.
Yeah,
And
this is fucking weird.
Sarasa's over there like, what the hell, guys?
But he was also you could be sad a little bit, like, this was your kid. Like, it's literally the mum that's like, yes, it's such a great honor to die in the name of the savior. No, that's fucking. You're a cult. You people are a fucking cult at this point. Like Jesus. Well, not like Jesus, but like.
But they are a cult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
totally.
It's a very bizarre sort of cult because they're worshiping this figure they call the savior, which some guy said, "Oh, what are these? See these twins? One of these kids is the savior."
And they're like, that one. Okay, it's that one. And then the
fact that they treat the other one, who is the sister of the savior, that poorly. Like, you feel like they would have a bit more, I don't know, respect, considering how they treat the person who died for the savior.
It's merely, and I use this finger quotes here, merely emotional neglect. It's not like straight up abuse. This is not a wrong Harry Potter story or wrong Boy Who Lived, although shares a lot of similarities. That's all I could think about while I was watching this.
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, time passes and dude savior is a fucking normal kid somehow, despite being worshipped for his entire life, to the point that other kids will die for him despite not really having spoken to him in the past. He's just kind of a dude who is cool. That's not how that works, but okay. And then for some reason that I forget, girl isn't in the village when it gets completely sacked and destroyed by Red King Dude, and she goes back.
She runs into the desert because her dad slaps the shit out of her.
That was the first time. It didn't happen this time. She's being the nice good girl now that is completely demure and accepting of the fact that no one gives a shit about her because her brother is the great super savior of insert village name here. Yeah, there are some details that you would expect to be kind of important that are just kind of not really addressed at all in this. All right. Like, we don't even get a name for these people that have a very, defined pseudo-religious system, but we don't get a name for them as a people. Like, that's weird. But, let's call them Saviorites. They're the Saviorites now. So, the Saviorites are getting raided by the Red King's army again because they figured out, hey, you guys lied before. That wasn't the real savior. We know this. Because. So.
How? How do you know this?
Yeah, this is not one of those shows that you should really think about for more than the time it takes to watch it. So, they demand that the real savior come out, and he totally does. And they totally kill him with the sword that was made for him, because insult to injury. And then they start murdering everyone else and burning all their houses and burninating the countryside and the peasants, and the thatch roof cottages and such. Why did it go Trogdor there? That was an odd choice. So yeah, she runs into a house and is like, oh no, what do I do? And she cuts her hair that grew long before and decides to pretend to be her brother, and she's super okay and everyone's gonna be okay because she's the savior and she's gonna save everyone. And then the thing that kind of pissed me off more than anything else in the episode, um, the mentor declares, "You realize that you were the savior all along, Sarasa." That was her name. Yes, I remembered.
No, it's worse than that. He says, "Oh, she's subconsciously realizing that she is the true savior." He didn't even say it to anyone. He just mumbled it to himself.
And it's like, okay, so she's not doing this because, hey, all of my friends and family are getting murdered. Maybe I should do something about that. It's just because of all this savior bullshit again. Like, fuck it. Like, come on.
No, we need to get even stupider with it somehow.
Maybe this is because of the story I'm comparing this to, because I'm comparing this constantly while watching this to Mulan, because of course I am. Of fucking course I am. Because that's literally what this is. It's just Mulan, only with a brother-sister dynamic instead of father and daughter. So...
Oh. I'm going to be honest, I was stuck on the Wrong Boy Who Lives stuff so much, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I see the comparison.
Yeah. So, that whole thing was a story of someone standing up and doing what they felt they had to do, regardless of traditions and what they're supposedly supposed to do, air quotes, for the sake of the people they care about. And that was great. Resonant message. Brilliant. One China probably doesn't appreciate nowadays, but brilliant. This might be why they changed it in the remake that was shit.
Probably.
Yeah.
Awful remake.
Yeah. But yeah, in this story, it's literally just the remake. It's prophesized savior of fucking superpower bullshit and destiny and fuck actual characters doing what they do because they have actual genuine reasons to do it. It's just plot. The reason they act and the reason they do things is because the writer is pulling their fucking puppet strings is why. And fuck that! I got way angrier than I thought I would, actually, explaining this episode. But, yeah.
It's kind of infuriating.
It's very contrived. I think in terms of, like, execution, this really fell short. Because you can have a setting where there's a prophecy that somebody will save one day, and so on and so forth. But you throw in a bunch of things... like the whole, the apocalypse happened and now we're a desert and there's twins, and I feel like it was a lot of stuff handled poorly, and that's just kind of sad.
There is not enough in this story for them to have gotten what little there is this wrong.
They needed to take time to establish things more, I think.
I feel like they did a decent job of establishing at least the immediate setting, but
yeah,
it's all very surface level.
Also, I maintain, in what level are these people saved? Like, they were a village of like 60 people, and at least a dozen or more are dead at this point.
And like, it's one thing if the prophecy is all BS, because that's kind of what I had assumed, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand the desperation, I guess, that has driven them to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like they were doing great by modern standards or even classical agrarian standards, but they were surviving. They were doing fine. They had like fields and crops and shit, and they had a community and a weird as fuck religion, but it was a religion. They believed in it, and everyone seemed to be doing just fine for a good like 18, 20 years. Like, why did they need a savior?
Yeah, and that's where the execution falls short, because if you were to show that they are in an extremely desperate situation where they will cling on to any idea of hope, then it makes sense that this would be a lie, right?
Mm.
It would have been nice to see them like struggle, or like even just an offhand mention of, oh, we don't have enough food this month, so some people are going hungry.
But that's not there.
Casey had been holding that one for a while, like, because we haven't recorded this in so long. It's like,
You're like, I can't remember, and then you remember. You're like, oh right, now I remember.
no, I totally remembered what I couldn't remember the name, but I totally remembered what the show was because I remembered exactly the parts that really fucking pissed me off. So yeah, just kind of a little bit of catharsis getting that off my chest finally. So it's nice. Yay.
Well, I'm glad you got a chance.
Yeah.
If it is, in fact, really stupid.
I think if you're going to do it in an apocalyptic setting, you have to emphasize the despair aspect, because otherwise, just go to a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
That way, the prophecy will hold more weight.
Yeah, you expect prophecy more in a fantasy setting than an apocalypse setting. Like, apocalypse settings, prophecies are always bullshit. I'm still not entirely certain that this is supposed to be a bullshit prophecy and it's actually a real one.
Yeah, because then why would the guys just come out and just kill these villagers because there's a prophecy?
Yeah. Like, it's everything about this show frustrates me.
Yeah, it may. I mean, even if it was all fake and it's just because it inspires hope in the people, it's not like this is sold as a big regime that's like oppressing the people. At least it's not well shown to be that. So it's not like, oh, I'm maintaining power. It's like, no, these are just a bunch of random people who are like, I'm slightly happier now, and you have to come along and kill them because of I don't know, some bullshit they believe. Doesn't make any sense.
Like,
Oh well.
on the other hand, Moses.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, but in the case of Moses, it was just like, yeah, no, we're just gonna murder this entire generation real quick, right? It wasn't just specifically targeting one village.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember when I started this fucking episode saying this is fine. Remember that? About 20 minutes ago? Fucking what?
It is fine if
No,
you
it
don't
isn't.
analyze it.
Yeah, that is the downfall of just about anything that I watch or listening to or read is critic brain. It's like, yeah, I vaguely know what I talk about, what I'm talking about, and damn if that doesn't make everything suck. It's unfortunate. That's why you need to turn that shit off. But that's the purpose of the show, is critic brain doing the critic thing, and some shows are benefited by that. Most of them are not, like this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say most definitely most.
Anyway, I rolled a new one.
Yay.
11.
11. That's K. C. Ah. Wow, there's a lot of K's, right? Because there's a lot of K words in Japanese. 153. 153.
153. Let's go. Number 48.
Okay, that's a name. Oh, it has a dub. Okay. All right.
What do we got?
Carnival with a K. Okay, so bear with me.
Okay.
Nye searches for someone important to him with only an abandoned bracelet as a clue. Garaki steals and pickpockets to get by from day to day. The two meet in a strange mansion where they are set up and soon become wanted criminals by military security operatives. When Nye and Garaki find themselves desperate in a hopeless predicament, they encounter none other than the country's most powerful defense organization, Circus.
They join the circus?
Technically, I guess, in exact, name terms, I guess.
Let's go join the circus, everybody.
Okay.
Carnival. Was this an anime? Was this a manga adaptation?
I do
see.
not know, but apparently
I'm gonna find
people
out.
fucking liked it.
Well, that's heartening.
Yeah. It is a shoujo series.
That's fine.
It's pretty boys doing stuff and things. Okay, it's one of those.
All right. Let's see if I can find out more information on this. So it was a manga. Has 26 volumes. Okay. And yeah, no, if we're hearing that it's fine, should be okay.
Yeah. I have no concerns with doing this one.
Seems interesting to me. Even if it's only visually.
Yeah. Okay. Carnival. I just like rolling my R's. It's pretty cool.
I wish I could roll my R's.
Rrr.
Don't flex on me like this.
Yeah, we got that lazy American tongue. Stop it.
I've been practicing to try to roll my R's, and I've been failing.
Yeah. So, right, yeah, end of the episode. So that's what we're gonna do. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I got very
Sounds
distracted
good.
with my with the. Bye, everybody.